Chapter 21. I had to jog to catch up with him. I didn't think you'd show, he said, walking down the street in the opposite direction he had gone the night before. I wished you hadn't. Did you get a sleeping bag? I could see his breath in the cold. Yeah. We walked for 3 blocks, then turned down an alley. Good pickings here, even better on Christmas Eve. The restaurant isn't open tonight, and it'll be closed all weekend. They toss the good stuff. He flipped open the lid to a metal dumpster with a bang. 4 rats scurried out from under the dumpster. Track rabbits, I said. You mean rats, Mr. Truman said. Coop calls them track rabbits. Are you nuts? We don't eat rats, and you better stay clear of them. Guy I knew got swarmed a few years ago. Not much left when the meal was over, and the guy wasn't the one doing the eating. He pulled a handful of plastic grocery bags out of his pack and handed half of them to me. Here are the rules. Only take things that haven't been gnawed on by humans or rats. Give it the sniff test. If it smells funky, don't put it in your bag. Funky? That's right. Tainted, rotten, odd, foul, corrupt, diseased, spoiled. If it's not something you'd eat raw, if you didn't have a fire to cook it, throw it away. He climbed into the dumpster. I stood where I was. What are you waiting for? You can't pick unless you're in the pile. And don't think Coop didn't pick. He showed me this dumpster. In fact, I'm taking you on his route. He had a knack. You can't believe some of the things he found. I climbed in. This is the most wasteful city on earth. The food thrown away here every day is enough to feed entire countries for a month. But you gotta know where to look. That restaurant you came out of across from the club is not one of the places to look. You paid for food that I wouldn't take for free. I touched something deep in the pile. It was cold and soft. Something dead. I closed my eyes as I pulled it out. Beautiful! Mr. Truman took it from me. 18 pounds, give or take. He sniffed it. Fresh. You know how many families right here in the city can't afford a turkey dinner for Christmas? Tens of thousands, that's how many. And you just plucked one for absolutely nothing from one of the best restaurants in the city. I don't get it. Me either, but that's just the way it is. I'm not talking about the turkey, Mr. Truman. Drop the Mr. Truman. That's not my real name anyway. You can call me Terry or Posty. Those aren't my real names either. Now, what don't you get? Why are you doing this? You have a job. You make money. Posty picked through more trash, finding a bag filled with croutons. Stuffing. You mean dumpster diving? Right. Why are you doing this if you have a job? It started with a $2,000 suit. What? I'm not kidding. We find all sorts of things going through the trash. We eat the food, but if we find something like a $2,000 suit, we take it to a second-hand store, or we try to sell it on the street. Anyway, almost 20 years ago now, I found a beautiful suit zipped up in a suit bag in a dumpster. The tailor's name was right on the bag, so I thought I might get the best price for taking it back to him. I'm walking down the street with the bag slung over my shoulder, and I start thinking about what I'm carrying. I go into a public restroom, and I try it on. It was a perfect fit, and I mean perfect. I looked like a millionaire, except for my shirt and shoes. So, instead of taking it back to the tailor, I go to a second-hand shop and buy a pair of shoes, a white shirt, and a real power tie. I think that suit made me go temporarily insane, because I walked into a stylist shop for a haircut, shave, and manicure that cost me more money than I'd usually spent in a year back then. When I come out, I buy a New York Post with the last of my change. I read the newspaper most days, but I had never in my life bought one. So now I'm completely broke, but I look like I own the city. I go through the employment listings and see they're looking for a bank trainee. I know the bank. It's right next to a restaurant with a great dumpster in back. I walk into the bank, and everyone there is fawning all over me. I mean, they thought I owned the bank. I tell them that I'm interested in the trainee job. I fill out an application with absolute lies. The bank president interviews me and hires me on the spot. I didn't think I'd show up for the job. It was just one of those I wanted to see if I could do it things. But I walk in on Monday in my suit, and 20 years later, I'm still there. So, you have an apartment? You don't live, beneath? Posty looked at me a second. I don't have an apartment. Why would I want an apartment where I would have to pay rent, utility bills, phone bills, and have neighbors I don't even know? What do you do with the money you make at the bank? Not much. Fitness club dues. I pay a suit once in a while. Shirts, socks, shoes, all used. Most months I make enough money from the stuff I find on the street for everything I need. I put the money I make from the bank in the bank. Not the bank I'm working at. I don't want them to know how much I have. I don't need the job or the money. I work at the bank because I like the people there and I'm good at what I do. Mr. Truman has made some very sound investments, and someday he's going to use his money to help people out. He just hasn't decided exactly how to do this yet. We climbed out of the dumpster. So, you're a homeless banker. I'm a banker, but I'm not homeless. I'm houseless, and there's a difference between the two. There was a time when I was homeless, but that was years ago.